their scientific advisory board.
Dig it. And which is unique because normally in our kind of company, the chairman of the scientific advisory board will be noted internal, doctor, somebody who it's all going to be based around nutrition or supplementation. And we were like, we are a holistic company. So the perspective that we want on the scientific advisory board needs to also be holistic. And what's great about Marcus, what impressed me about his story, I'll talk like you're not here for a second, is that here's a guy who said, I'm going to bring the state-of-the-art of thinking in medicine to fitness, and actually did the work while his peers in fitness were out there training people and getting jobs in the fitness industry. He went to get his doctorate and take it to a level that very few people in the industry have done, and has built this thing, P3, up in Santa Barbara, which is training the world's elite athletes in a way that is stunning, frankly, professional sports. So, Marcus, thank you for participating with us. Thanks for being a part of what we're trying to build here, and tell us a little bit about what we have in store with PAP.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Backs, balls. What is it? Backs, buys, and balls. Is that right?
You can throw any parts you want in there.
Yeah.
No, don't go there. All right.
You got to know, though, he's got that side to him, but they also have this side where they're super committed to doing this thing well. Really using the latest science. There's no other company that has this type of commitment to making sure this backside of this thing works right. No jokes there.
Hey man, I'm totally cool.
All right. So I see the commitment in terms of delivering science, and that was one of the biggest hooks for getting involved here. It was never my intention to get involved with a fitness company, but I'm confident that we can lead this thing out consistently in terms of sports science, making sure we're delivering the best products, making sure that we're actually leading the front edge in terms of what science is telling us about how to develop as human beings optimally, how to optimize nutrition, how to reduce injuries, all of these pieces. I was talking yesterday with Tony about how I'm confident that P90X already is a better program than a lot of pro athletes use. A lot of pro athletes use the program, but it's better than what their strength coaches on their NFL team, or their Major League Baseball team, or their NBA team are giving them. And this next version, P90X2, is going to create even more delta. It's going to create even more separation. So it's kind of wild to think that you guys are leading out that edge, and then the pro sports teams are going to follow.
So let's get into PAP, what it stands for, and then I'm going to roll a little video so people can see the process of sort of Tony going through this, getting hammered by these things, and then how they made their way into the programs themselves.
Yeah, so PAP stands for post-activation potentiation. And what it is this concept that if you combine a power movement with a strength movement, and the strength movement precedes the power movement, so you do a split squat. You do a split squat movement, and then you combine it with a power movement that involves similar muscle groups, like a jump split squat. Then you get more muscle cells involved in that exercise. You create more power. If we went straight into that split squat, there's a certain amount of nerves and muscle cells that are just asleep. They're just dead weight. They're just along for the ride. But if you precede it with the strength movement, you essentially wake up those neurons, and you get those muscle cells that are normally dead weight, you get them engaged. And so you create more power. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this is one of the hottest things in sports science right now. It's been studied like crazy over the last 10 years, especially out of Germany and out of Great Britain, out of Australia, and now out of the US. It's been studied over and over and over and over. Absolutely real phenomena. You precede a power movement with a strength movement, you get bigger power output. So that's sort of at the core of this PAP concept.
Carrie, can you roll that video, because it's not rolling for me up here. I want people to see some of the variety of those moves.
And it can involve almost any strength and power move, but the key is that similar muscle groups are engaged. Similar muscle groups from the strength movement into the power movement are engaged. So this is Tony at our place.
Good time.
Humana.
Yeah, hop on the ball, your foot in 2 directions for 30 seconds. It doesn't look like much.
Now, why does the PAP program, the PAP aspects of P90X2, why did we build it so late into the program versus weave it throughout the 3 phases?
Well, I mean, it's intense training. I mean, it's really intense. It involves all these proprioceptive feedback mechanisms, lots of balance. I mean, your body has to be pretty engaged to be able to execute these movements. And so we want to build a base in strength. We build a base in plyometrics. We work on ground contacts a lot. How your foot interacts with the ground is incredibly important. These are, I think these are, there's athletes around. There's some other P90X people around in those clips. But essentially, you need to build a foundation before you throw somebody into this PAP type training. And we do that even with our athletes. You know, if we bring in a pro athlete, we're going to do some foundation work before you throw them into these PAP circuits.
Now, an athlete, okay, you know, somebody who has gotten to a specific level of the sport, make it through the collegiate ranks, get, you know, be with the best of the best. It shocks me. You would just expect that these guys would have this stuff dialed in. I mean, again, when I talked to Isabel about when she would train with, she would train Maurice Green and these Olympic runners and stuff, and to find out the degree to which she had to train them to explode out of the blocks and stuff, just the smallest moves that they still hadn't mastered. Is that what they're coming to you for? And it's hard for me to believe then that a DVD program could actually be that valuable to these guys at this level.
You know, like I said a minute ago, we've had pro athletes in almost every sport show up at our place and tell us that they've been doing P90X.
Robert.
And once we started talking about getting involved and me taking over the scientific advisory board, and then after I committed to this, when I hear that, I'd start laughing a little bit. You know, they see me giggling. And usually the response is something like, no, that's the real shit, man. That stuff is hard. And then I have to tell them that I'm not, you know, it's not that I'm mocking it, it's because I'm actually involved in the company, and it's amazing to me how many athletes, how many pro athletes are doing this program and think it's the best thing they've done in training up to this point. You know, and then they show up at our place and then we're a lot more specific about this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, pro athletes have holes all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, what did we find on you? What would you say the main thing we found on you?
Well, it was my explosive power on my right side, my right hip.
Hip stability on the right side. Need a little bit more power out of that side.
Does this look familiar to anybody who showed up at my workout the other day? I mean, 30 seconds of this and you just want to shoot yourself. But as a result of the work that you and I have been doing, I mean, here at 50, almost 53 years old, I just thought that was going to be, you know, weakness in me. I'd have to overcompensate on the other side. I mean, I've had that weakness for 30 years, and now I don't, as a result of what we've done.
Yeah. So, but, you know, it takes a unique personality to be as good as he is at something and still be open to continuing to learn, right? And so he showed up, and we humiliated him in a few things, and now he's better. And this hole that he had that was going to continue to get worse as he went through life, this instability in his hip that leads to extraneous movement over his knee and starts wearing out a knee, which eventually ends up being a big problem, isn't going to be the big problem it was going to be. And so that's at the heart of all this stuff. I mean, our interest is in developing the world's best athletes. We really, I mean, in every sport, we get calls almost on a weekly basis from GMs and owners wanting to send their athletes out to us or their teams out to us to get this, to get a competitive advantage in terms of specificity, get this sports science overlay, to do a better job of taking care of their athletes. Really, in every sport, this is the case. But these systems we're building, they're the same systems you guys have. I mean, they really are. They just haven't been, you know, in these athletes, they've been developed out to this level. And you guys are somewhere else along this curve, you know, maybe close to this, maybe back here. But they're all the same systems. You need hip stability, you need mobility, you need all these systems that athletes need to move well.